Hey everybody, I am back in the kitchen and I'm excited to tell you that I am kicking off a brand new series of videos called Back to Basics. Now, in the past, I've done all kinds of wonderful Southern comfort foods, but I want to get down to basics and I want to show people how to cook regular food everybody has in their pantry, a tried and true way. There's no guessing, there's no bumbling around. It's supposed to make it easy, it's supposed to make it less intimidating because I want everybody to get in the kitchen and cook. So this is going to be very elementary, it's going to be quick and to the point. Today we're tackling rice. Now, when I first walked in the grocery store to go buy a bag of rice, I was overwhelmed because I was like, holy crap, look at all the rice that's available in this store. Why are there so many choices? Well, that just means there's a lot of varieties of rice. And so I got what my mama always bought. My mama, she was a fan of the long grain white rice. You can look it up, Google it. It's referred to as American rice. It's referred to as extra fancy rice. This is the most popular rice currently in the United States. And I think probably in the Central and South Americas too, because this is found a lot in like Spanish rice dishes, things like that. Anyway, jumping right into this rice. I usually cook in ratios, and it's the easiest thing to remember. If you're cooking a cup of rice, you're going to use 2 cups of water. That works for me every time. I've seen a lot of recipes that call for a 1-to-1 ratio, but then you end up with crunchy rice, and who wants that? So in this pot, I have got exactly 2 cups of water. I would normally put in a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, but rather than do that, I'm going to use this little packet. I love these little flavor packets that I get in the Latino food section at my grocery store. This one is achiote and cilantro, and I put it in. If you don't have it, don't use it. Just use a 1/4 teaspoon of just regular old salt. Put it in here. Bring this to a rolling boil, which we are almost there. It's starting to sizzle. Oh, and that cilantro, ooh, it smells good. All right, when this comes to pretty much a rolling boil like what you're seeing now, the rice goes in. Boom. I generally give it a little stir just to make sure everybody gets a little coat of water. I put the lid back on. I bring this back up to a hard simmer, and then I turn the heat down. I am going to let this cook between 13 and 15 minutes. That's all you need. It'll soak up every bit of that water, and this rice is going to be perfect. So when we come back, I'm going to show you exactly what we're working with. Okay, y'all, we are back, and the rice is completely cooked. I let it go for 15 minutes exactly, and then I pulled it off the heat, and I let it sit for 3 more minutes just because I wanted it to have an opportunity to absorb all that water. So let's take a look at it. Woo, smoky. All right. Looking at it, it's as nice and fluffy as can be. See that? It's fabulous. There's just a little bit of moisture evident on the bottom, but I am going to pour this out so that you can look at it. And if you wanted it to get a little bit drier, you could leave this sitting an additional 10, 15, however long you want to with the lid on, and it would just continue to soak up the moisture in there. But I mean, this is rice. This is what rice was like at my house when I was a little kid, until my mother learned how to use the well, there wasn't really any learning. She bought that rice in a bag. It was instant rice. Ugh, I don't even want to go there. Yeah, it's rice. So using that method, y'all, 2-to-1. I mean, yeah, it's a 2-to-1 ratio. 2 cups of water, 1 cup of rice, 1/4 teaspoon of salt or a seasoning packet. Cook it for 15 minutes. Let it sit for up to 10. Soaks all the water. You're done. You've got rice, and hallelujah. How easy was that? So if that's what you came to see, was somebody cook a pot of rice the right way, then you can leave. but I'm going to continue with this little tutorial on rice. So I hope you stick around. So I'm glad that you decided to stick around and listen to a little bit more about rice. Now, rice is an ancient grain. It has kept folks alive for thousands of years, and it's going to continue to do so as long as people keep farming it. So let's learn a little bit about rice and all those stinking varieties I told you about at the grocery store. Why are there so many? Well, it's just like apples. You go to the grocery store and you see you want to buy an apple. Well, there's a ton of different kinds of apples. How do you know which one to get? Well, you have to get one that you like. And the only way to figure out the one you like is to try them. Try different ones. And the same goes for rice. The same goes for any food, really. So I'm going to introduce you to these different types of rice. I have 6 different types of rice that I'm going to talk about today. Starting out, this is arborio rice. Arborio rice is also called medium grain rice. It is notorious for being nice and sticky. It is oval in shape. It's fat, kind of short looking. It is originally from Italy, and well, it's super starchy, and it cooks up wonderful in a dish like risotto. This is what you would use to make risotto because it's full of starch, and to get the starch out, you have to kind of tease it. So you add hot water gradually to your pan of risotto as you're cooking it to ease the starches out. It's just the nature of the beast. But this is risotto rice or arborio rice. Now this one is jasmine rice. This rice is originally from Thailand, and it's very fragrant. It is very white in color, which is kind of where its name comes from. They compare it to the jasmine flower. So it does have a floral aroma after you cook it, but it doesn't smell like jasmine so much as it just smells nice and fresh and clean. And it's definitely a different aroma than if you're just going to be cooking regular American white rice. This stuff is very popular, well, pretty much anywhere they serve ethnic food. It's good in Asian restaurants. It's good, well, heck, just anywhere. I love to use jasmine rice myself because I like that it stays nice and soft. It's really my preferred rice. If I'm not going to be using the sticky rice, I want jasmine rice. This one, you see the difference in this and the jasmine? This is longer and skinnier. This is called basmati rice. Now, basmati rice originally came from India and Pakistan and Sri Lanka. It's very popular still in those parts of the world for curries and just any kind of a rice dish that you would get in that part of Asia. I do use it frequently. The thing with the basmati rice is I find the starch content is kind of low, and so the more water it soaks up, the longer the grain of rice gets, and they don't really ever want to stick together because it's not real starchy. And I don't prefer it simply because I don't think there's a lot of flavor in it. It's a good rice, it's just not my favorite. So I have it on hand all the time just in case because it's a good neutral flavor and it'll go with just about anything. I do use it when I make curry. So that's basmati rice. This one is brown basmati rice. You can see the grains are still nice and thin, but they do look a little bit heftier than just the regular white basmati. It's the same rice, except the brown rice hasn't been processed as much as this white basmati. It still has the germ, which is the outer coating. It's like its skin. It hasn't been removed, and the bran. So the bran and the germ is where the majority of your nutrients are in the rice. So when you strip those good things off of it and you're left with this, you're not left with a whole lot, just basically a complex carbohydrate or sugar. But when you leave it as a whole grain, which this is considered a whole grain because it is not completely processed, you get those nutrients, and it's supposed to just be better for your body. I don't know. I'm not a rice scholar, but I'm interested, and so when I read things, it tends to stick in my head, and so I don't know. I'm a freak. What can I say? This is just what we cooked earlier. This is just plain long grain white rice. Like I said, it's the most popular rice in the United States and in Central and South America. It is readily available. They grow a lot of this in Texas. Um, it's very affordable. It's a good neutral flavor. You can make it taste like anything you want to. The starch content is right in the midline. It cooks up nice and fluffy, and well, it's kept many folks alive. Okay, so here's my least favorite rice. This is wild rice. Now I know, don't throw a stick at me. You love wild rice, and that's great. I'm glad that you do. I just don't. I don't like the taste of it really. Um, it is very popular though, and it's considered, I suppose, a whole grain because it's not very processed at all. But what it is, it's not really rice. It's an aquatic grass seed. Um, very popular back in the day. Native Americans um, up in the Great Lake areas, Minnesota, all through Canada, this grew wild, and they would harvest it in their canoes by beating the whatever, however, the grasses, and this is what you get. Now you have to cook the fool out of this. I mean, seriously, a good 30 to 60 minutes, depending on how high your heat is. So, not for me. It's a lot of effort, and it cooks up weird because if you let it go for the full amount of time, it breaks open, and then it kind of curdles up, and it exposes the interior, which is kind of white and fleshy. I don't know. I mean, it has its place in certain things, I suppose. Like, I don't know. I can't even tell you because I don't like it. I don't eat it. But my Uncle Kenny, he loves this. So here's you some wild rice, Uncle Kenny. And Brad likes it too. So I do have it in the house just on that odd occasion if he wants to eat some. And so that pretty much wraps up episode 1 of Back to Basics with rice. I'm going to write down in a Word document all the information about rice. I'm going to write down the cooking ratios. I'm going to write down the time it takes to cook each different type of rice. And I'm also going to tell you a little bit about these little packs. Now, I told you that you can season your rice with salt, and that's fine. And I'm not getting paid to say this, but I do love this product. It's by Goya, and Goya is over in the Latin food aisle, the Latino aisle. This one is what I used today to make it orange. That is the achiote. It's a little seed that they ground into a powder, and it doesn't have a whole lot of taste. It kind of tastes like a chili powder, but very mild, and it's mixed with cilantro, and it just is a wonderful addition to your rice. I love to make my rice with that every time. Or they make it in different flavors. This one is just for salad and vegetables. If you're cooking a pot of I don't know, turnip greens or something, and you don't want to put a ham hock in there, you can put a couple packs of this in. It's basically just seasoned or flavored salt. This one is cubitos en polvo, or caldo de carne. So it's basically beef bouillon. They're delightful. And a little dab will do you. I mean, a whole packet will cook a whole batch of rice. So that's just my little 2 cents. I like this product, and I really like the pork one. We call it a pig in a pouch, but it's actually just ham flavor. I think that's what the box says. It's hamon, something. Anyway, I look forward to doing more of this Back to Basics series. I hope to hear from you. I hope that you will get in touch with me and let me know if you have some specific ideas of things that you would like to see me cook or show you how to cook. I'm not a professional chef by any means, but I do know a good bit about a lot of things in the kitchen just because it is my favorite place to be. And I have studied on it, and I have cooked a lot, and I've eaten a lot too. So, with that being said, I hope you come and see me over at jamieteachmetocook.com. Always got something going on over there. All of this will be posted in my blog at jamieteachmetocook.com. And I look forward to seeing you for episode 2 of Back to Basics, because we're going to be covering eggs. I'm going to cook all kinds of eggs for you. So I can't wait to see you then. Bye, y'all.